All right, so we are going to look at how to calculate percent composition. These are one of these calculations that very typical for general chemistry. It's useful to know. If we don't know the exact mole ratio, we can look at it as a percent composition. Whenever we talk about percent, we have to know by what. Is it by, in this case, it's by mass. A lot of times in solutions, we have percent by volume, percent by mass, so you have to be specific. In this case, it's by mass. So to calculate the percent composition for something like lead chloride, or PbCl2, we first need to calculate the molecular weight of the entire compound. So if we look at the periodic table and we look at lead, it's 207.2 grams per mole. Chlorine is 35.45 grams per mole. Now, we have two chlorines, and so we will need to multiply the chlorine by 2, and so we will have to do this. Now, one thing I want to point out is I can write grams per mole two ways. One is mole to the negative 1, and I'll show you in a sec. But first, I'm just going to write out multiplying the mass of chlorine by 2, because we have two chlorines, to give me the molar mass of lead chloride, which is 278.1 grams per mole. And then I'm going to show you the 1 over x is equal to x to the negative 1. And so we can write that as 1 gram per mole as moles to the negative 1. So I might use either one, just so you know. Now, if we're looking at percent composition, we are going to do this for each of the two elements in here. So we'll first do percent of mass of lead. So we're just going to take the mass of lead divided by the mass of the entire compound. So in this case, we only have one lead. So we're going to divide the molar mass of lead by the molecular weight of lead chloride, which is 278.1 grams per mole. Now it's percent, so we need to multiply by 100%, or else we get a decimal place, and we get 74.5% lead by mass. Now I just put 74.5%, that's fine. Now I could stop here if I was running short on time. I know that because I only have chloride besides lead, that anything that isn't lead should be chloride, so we could just subtract 74.5 from 100 to determine the percent of chloride. But for the point of instruction, we're going to calculate out and prove our point. So we have now the mass of chlorine. Now, the easy mistake to make here is that you only put the mass of chlorine and not the total mass of chlorine in your molecule, which is actually 2 times the mass of chlorine. So it's 35.45 times 2 divided by 278.1 grams per mole. So make sure you do that. That's probably the most common mistake we see on these type of problems. And we should get something around 25.5%. That would equal 100%, which means that we really didn't do this calculation, but for this, we can show that that's why. If you don't get 100% when you add those two up for two elements in a compound, then you did something wrong.